Welcome back to the workshop.
Welcome back.
In this week's episode, we're going to be tying this and this to this.
Which takes us one step closer to putting the bodywork on.
Because it's a tubular semi-monocoque, not a multicoque. My name is Oliver, and this is my dad, Andrew. He's a wicked engineer and my next door neighbour. We've always wanted to build a car together. So when I found my dream car in nightmare condition, we decided to embrace it, seize the day and re-engineer the entire car from scratch.
Well, it's looking more and more like a car every single day. A K20 A2 from a Honda.
And make your own gear knob kit. There you go.
This might take a while.
Things don't always go to plan. But when they do, it's a thing of beauty. Building a car and making memories with my dad. One of one. This is Project Mosquito. Okay, so I need to explain, while you're doing that, I'll explain what's going on here. So, we need to make a panel that is curved and wraps around here and brings this in. So it brings it all on, and then it comes up here, and then it welds in here. And then it's attaching this here to here, and it's curved, which then makes this bulkhead super strong. Because of course, this is the base of our windscreen, so it has to be seriously stiff and seriously strong. Next time we're bead rolling, we'll put a bead roll in this, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah, these side panels are only 1/2 mil thick, so all we need to do is just stiffen them up on this edge, bring it all nice and square, so then when the bodywork comes down, it can all get fastened along this edge and along the front.
I can't believe how stiff this centre console is now that Dad's put that little tiny strip on the, was it a couple of episodes ago, put a little tiny strip full of holes. I mean, it's mostly nothing, let's be honest. And it's well strong.
Yeah.
Super impressed with that.
It's completely stiffened this area up completely. And that ties the cage in to the centre tunnel.
Yeah, and remember that there's a reinforcement inside the centre tunnel as well, so that this goes all the way down to the floor. Now, I know that we harp on about rigidity and about chassis a lot, and we're a bit of an enigma on YouTube because we're the only people who do.
But the thing is, the chassis makes the car really nice to drive. If you've got 1,000 horsepower and you can't use any of it because your chassis is rubbish, there's no point having 1,000 horsepower.
Your chassis makes the most out of your grip, and the chassis makes the most out of your suspension, and the chassis makes the most out of the corners. And remember that the faster you can leave a corner, and the less you have to brake going into the next corner, the faster your car is. It doesn't matter how much power you've got. Yeah. And to illustrate that, to give a little bit of context, a couple of episodes ago we talked about the Supra in the JGTC and the way they swapped the big 2JZ out of the Supra, and they put it in a bin and they got a little 4-cylinder turbo engine to get that little thing to turn because it was too front heavy and it was unbalanced, right? Well, in the same time as the Supra was battling and battling and battling to defeat the Skyline, which is the dominant force throughout the history of racing in Japan, all-wheel drive, turbocharged, basically everything that YouTube loves in a car, in fact. Yeah. All-wheel drive, full drive, big turbos, big straight six.
Loads of power.
Loads of power, right? What Forza says is the fastest thing, what like Gran Turismo says is the fastest thing, right? Then a Japanese businessman who owned a company called Lark brought in 2 McLaren F1s. McLaren F1, remember, is normally aspirated.
2-wheel drive.
Rear-wheel drive, mid-engine. And the governing body of the JGTC, quite rightfully, went, hang on a minute, that is, well, it's taking a bazooka to a knife fight. Yeah. So we're going to limit the absolute hell out of you. So they did. They restricted the engines massively. Sorry about the well pump. And even with the massively restricted engines, the McLarens wiped the floor with the competition. They beat all of the turbo all-wheel driviness of everybody else. And remember that there is 911 turbos racing in that field. There was a Lamborghini Diablo racing in that field. There was all sorts, right? And it wiped the floor with absolutely everybody. And the reason wasn't the power, because remember that they were fighting with one hand tied behind the back. It's all about the chassis and the way that the chassis can make the most of the available grip, the way the chassis can make the most of the power band, and how everything comes together. Because just like any good recipe, it's not about one ingredient. It's about how all the ingredients work together.
Yeah, there's no point having 1,000 horsepower if you can't use any of it.
Yeah. So that is why we harp on about it so much, because nobody builds cars like this.
No.
And there's a reason why when people like try and think about context in cars that are similar to this, they think about cars like the Honda Beat, the Fiat X19, Smart Roadster, little mid-engine-y things.
Yeah.
But in comparison to this, a Smart Roadster or a Fiat X19 is made of wet Kleenex. And in fact, a Smart Roadster has Didi on rear suspension.
Yeah.
Which is great if it's 1902. Whereas you know, even the Stratos, which is probably the best analogous for this, except for the fact that it's 300 kilos heavier, but it does have the same wheelbase and the same wheel size, although different tyre size. We can fit Stratos size tyres on though. Yeah, and this is again stiffer and has double wishbone suspension all round and is just better than a Stratos. But the Stratos was our benchmark for this car, because the Stratos is well stiff. It is, isn't it?
Yeah, but because it's got McPherson struts, it doesn't have a proper suspension curve.
It doesn't have grip. It has no rear grip at all, which is why they put big balloony tyres on. All the grips in the tyre, whereas in this, all the grips in the chassis. We learnt from that. And so, yeah, it's so important, is this chassis, and that's what, it's the thing that will make it special. Because we live in a place that's all curves, and this is a road car, not a racing car, and so it has to handle like the world's greatest tarmac rally car, even though it will never be raced. Is that 1 mil? You got some out already?
Yeah. Is it 1 mil?
No idea.
Yeah.
Do you want to sweep it off? It's a bit... I still haven't found my safety glasses. If you see my safety glasses around the workshop, leave a comment down in the... I've been... You know my nice blue safety glasses? I've lost them a few weeks ago and I cannot find them for the life of me. I mean, I'm here with a brush and shovel, but why not? You can tell I don't clean up, can't you?
Thank you.
Check me weight with the Stratos weight difference, and a Stratos is between 900 to 950 kilos. So a weight difference with this of approximately 300 kilos, right? Give or take. And it's 2 giant pandas. Or 2/3 of a grand piano. Hang on. You'll scratch paint, didn't it? Like that. So we need to keep checking this because obviously your fiberglass body is a bit flimsy, but once it's all bolted in and we fix it, it won't. And so it will form a major part of the structure.
Yeah, because this panel needs to be up here.
Yeah.
Not down there.
We have these 2 panels, and these 2 panels are for these glove parts, and they fit in thusly. So that gives you some indication of where that pulls to, yeah?
Yeah. Because this has to be spot on, otherwise you end up having to make
I know.
windscreen all different size, different shape.
It's a funny thing because all your rigidity in your body is in like this inlay for your door frame and stuff like that, and in the boot section, like these bits are where your rigidity lies, not really in this. Your curves are good, but they're only good because they're tied to a boot, really. Like, this is pretty, you know, there's not much in that. But all of this will add and help, so.
Yeah, it's come right down.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Because when the windscreen frame, when we make the windscreen frame and put that in, that's going to hide the cage nearly completely at the front.
Yeah.
One of the biggest problems that we have is that the body was made by hand, shall we say. To add insult to injury, somebody set it on fire, melted a quarter of it, then that's been replaced with another part that was made from a completely different mould. They're not even from the same mould. We know that because the inner arch of this one's completely different to to this side, right? So
They even made it in a different way. One had a piece of balsa wood inside.
no, we thought it was balsa wood. It's box section steel.
Yeah.
Right? So this half of the car is a good 10 years older than this half. Right? But not only that, then they were made in separate moulds, decades apart.
By different people.
By different people. Those moulds were made from different books, and then when this were all melted, somebody brought them together, cable tied them together, and then glued them together without a mould, or without a book, or without reference. And so considering everything that it's been through, it's actually very square and very straight, which is to say not at all. But it's like the entire thing's like a dog's back leg. And I want to just say, I'm not bad-mouthing GTMs because I love GTMs. It's just funny, that's all. And if it was a Lotus, I'd be poking just as much fun at it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that fits a tree now. Oops.
A bit days.
Yeah, I've just got to bring that corner back in. And then that'll make a super stiff
Union. A super stiff union.
Yep.
And it gives us somewhere to mount the dashboard to, which is handy.
Yeah. Yeah, no expense spared this week. New cutting disc, new pencil.
Calm down. We're not made of money.
Oh no, I broke my new pencil. I've got two now.
This is why we can't have nice things. That's the perfect illustration of the first one takes you ages, second one takes you 10 minutes.
Yep.
That's for the first time it's just gone.
Yep.
Since we put the bulkhead on. Well, that's one little job off the list.
Yeah. In fact, it's a job I've been wanting to do for ages. Let's leave it there. I need to sort some clamps out.
So, what we need to do is clamp this straight because it's bored with the heat, and then we will put a stiffener that Dad's made this morning inside. Where's the other clamp? Get a clamp on, get it all square, and then our bulkhead will be super strong. Because the body's handmade, and we know nothing's square, nothing's level, nothing's kind of correct. You can pick one bit of it and choose that to be correct and go from there, but then you've got to make everything like that bit, which is not a great way of doing it, because then the second you cut everything, everything's off. And so with the tube frame, the good thing about this is that this tube here is level to the tube in the floor, which is level and straight to the box section in the bottom here. And so what we have to do is get this bulkhead level to that, because that is level to this tube, which is level to this tube, which is level to the back of the car, which is level to here. So once we know that's all correct, and which obviously all the tubes are correct, but once that bulkhead's in, that then helps us line the body up with what we know is true to the chassis. And then we can true the body up to the chassis, because nothing is correct on the body. And because you need somewhere to measure from, you need a datum point. And when we were kind of designing the chassis, we chose the rear arch here as a place to measure from, because when you're starting from scratch, you're starting from nothing. But then obviously as you get more reference and better places to measure from, you're able to actually get things correct. And so when we're doing our arches and when we're like measuring every single part of the car, it will all go from here, from an exterior point of view, because that then dictates this line and the windscreen frame. But like even this line on the body here is not straight. I'm sure you can see it's bowed like this.
And that's spot on there. That's the same at that end.
Yeah, there's a big gap here now.
Yeah, I can pull that through. That's better. To bring tap this down as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even this has gone like that.
Yeah.
Slightly.
No, everybody thinks of the body as just the arches, but it's such an enormous task. And the better we get this, the better it will make everything.
Because the one thing we can't alter is obviously the windscreen, because it's a piece of glass and it's a set size. So we've got to have this front bulkhead parallel to this top tube. So when the sides, so everything's got to be square and correct. So when we put the windscreen in, when we bond the windscreen in, obviously the windscreen's got to be in the correct position.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've noticed, but so far, other than the engine mounts, these two tiny little angle brackets are the only brackets on the entire car. Everything else is built in.
Can't come in from this side.
Nope. Okay, there's no way to get it in. Can I make a suggestion? We stop what we're doing. We take this out, we put the heater in, and we sort out this vent area, because some of this might not need to be here. And if we can get a couple of mil there, then we can fit it in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's only that hits it. As soon as that gets past, yeah?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
So when we've got our panel in place, it's impossible to get the heater in. It's one of those oversights that you don't really want, but it's unfortunate. But we can get around it because we've got a big chunk of plastic here that does absolutely nothing.
So yeah, we're just taking this lump off, and then we'll still be able to fit a duct onto it. There's enough there to get a Jubilee clip and stuff on, or whatever. Pretty clean, that. With offsetting the heater, the foot blower for the driver's side is now blowing into the centre tunnel. So we need to relieve this side anyway, which is already more relieved than that side, but we need to relieve this side, and then we need to fit like a little box in here to duct the air into the driver's footwell, and actually at my feet, not just my ankles. Oh, come on. Hey! I don't know whatever. Did something snap off then?
No.
No?
No, it's just cut on this edge. There's the sharp edge here that needs grinding
Would you like a file?
around a little bit. Oh, it's all right.
I have to explain this support because it's a bit of an odd one and it's in a funny position. You see, it's not really in tension and compression the way that kind of, I don't know, this is, right? Or this is. It's there for the same reason that, have you ever looked at an old racing car like a Cobra Daytona or something like that and wonder why it has the little tabs around the windscreen? You know, little metal tabs that you see on racing cars? They're there so your windscreen doesn't pop out at speed or mid-corner when you get a little bit of chassis flex.
Yep.
Now, our windscreen is going to be bonded in, so there is no flex. So if this bulkhead flexes, then it cracks the windscreen. And don't forget that this car is theoretically capable of about 160 miles an hour. So at 160 miles an hour, you've got a lot of air pressing on that windscreen. And so you don't want this bulkhead to warp or flex and crack your windscreen. And so, yeah, that's what this is for.
Yeah. And the plain fact is that the windscreen surround, this part is incredibly flexible.
There's a reason why it's cracked on one corner.
As is the top of the windscreen, the whole thing. There's no rigidity in it at all.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is make a windscreen frame that actually links to the bulkhead. And that way, Oliver showed you the pieces of steel that used to run up inside here.
And this is the windscreen frame stiffener. It's a large angle, it's very heavy, and this one went in this side, but you get the idea, right? And it fits up inside the frame here, and attaches to there like that. On one side, and then the door hinge bolts through the chassis to this, and it's just
Agricultural.
yes.
Right? We don't need them anymore.
No.
Because they're agricultural and they weren't really thought out. They were an afterthought to cure a problem rather than a design. And what we're trying to design.
Yeah, they were a repair and a fix rather than an integrated part of the design.
So rather than having the tubes that run up inside here and the lump gate post to hang the doors on, we're actually going to make the whole thing as it should be done. Yeah. Rather than a bodge repair.
And as I mentioned earlier in the episode, I hope it makes it through in the edit, but as I mentioned earlier in the episode, the rigidity in all of your body isn't in stuff like this, right? Isn't in the big stuff. It's in your little channel sections. And so our bonded in windscreen obviously will require us to make a frame that fits in here. So it gives us a second channel just like this. So it increases our rigidity. And then what we can do is we'll make some pieces that fit in here so we can affix the windscreen kind of frame to the body and directly bolt it to the roll cage. And so just like the body bolts here, the body will be bolted here as well and here. So it's supported all the way around.
Yeah, and there's no point making this super stiff if the bulkhead you're going to mount it to is floppy.
Yeah.
So we're going to, that's what that whole thing is there, to make everything as strong as each other, so there's no weak links.
Yeah. Because everything's so stiff when you put, if you've got one thing that's even slightly flexy, because everything else is so stiff, it can't kind of all flex together. One thing ends up flexing loads. And so we don't want to give it somewhere to go.
So yeah, so happy now.
Yep. And any flex that happens kind of in the windscreen itself, because you'd be amazed how much glass can bend.
Yeah, in fact, I once, years and years ago, I'd only be a teenager, and there were a Mark III Cortina in the scrapyard, and literally it's been smacked in the side. I think it must have hit a tree or something, sideways on, and the top of the door was almost twisted to 45 degrees, and the window hadn't broke.
Yeah, if force is linear across glass, you'd be shocked how much glass can bend.
Yeah.
And so the adhesive that you bond the windscreen in actually does allow the glass to flex just slightly, because at speed the windscreen will move.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, there's nothing bad with that, and it has to be able to do that. But what we don't want is it moving other things that we don't want it moving.
Or moving so far that it cracks.
Yeah. There we go. I'd like to say a huge thank you to our Patreon members, and specifically our top tier, the Slicks, Alex Bottomley, Andy Wood, and Doug Shott. Thank you very much, guys. You really help make these videos, and if you are interested in our Patreon, then you can take a look at that down in the description below.
If you're ever doing anything like this, make sure you offset the holes. So the center of this hole is in the center of the material. If you line them up together, it makes it weak. Doing it this way, it's actually lost little or none of its strength, but it's lost loads of weight.
Yeah, forgot your microphone.
I know.
That's a new job. Here we go.
Dad's just said he wants to make a second one, and then we know that's going nowhere.
Yep.
Go on then.
It is stiff, but
Yeah, there's a little bit of wiggle. I mean, the thing is, there's the, and this will sound a bit odd, but there are our lovely Torx master cylinders that are going on here, which, all right, the master cylinders, but they are on a really nice bracket, and they will stiffen up this panel. And then there's our windscreen wiper motor surround, which is all cast aluminium and all drilled and all nice. But yeah, if you want to secure this edge specifically, then yeah, rather than just the panel, yeah.
yeah, because it's stiff from the base, from this edge,
Yeah.
but not from the top.
Well, Dad, that looks superb, actually.
Yeah, it's a little bit nearer. We've added loads of stiffness to the bulkhead. We've linked everything together now.
And we've got a proper datum.
And we've got a proper datum. So now, because we've got this front edge, now we can make the bodywork, because we know the bodywork fits to this front edge and these sides. We can use that as our datum to do the rest of the bodywork.
Yeah. And it's yet another job that no one will ever see once that dashboard goes in.
Yeah.
But the bane of your life is now finally complete.
Yes, the heater. It would have been far easier just to make a little alloy box or a little steel box, put the heater matrix in it, put the fan on the front, and job done. But then we had to make heater blowers and everything else. But this way, it's done.
Sometimes taking a thing and modifying it to your needs is the worst way of doing something.
Yeah.
And pretty much every time we've ever done it, it has taken forever. When it comes to like the suspension uprights and the castings, right? That was worth doing.
Yeah.
Right. But when it's come to a heater, I'll say it was worth doing it because it was all designed to work together. That fan was designed to work with that heater core.
Yeah.
Although we could have just used those two pieces and made our own box. But no, but it does weigh nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's super light, that plastic box, and it weighs even less now because we've chopped loads off. But we've learned that lesson a few times, haven't we?
Yeah.
In fact, these workshop stairs, right? We bought these workshop stairs from our neighbour who had them led in his barn, and they were twice as wide, weren't they?
Yeah.
And Dad kind of fell in love with them. And you're like, well,
The thing is, a couple of 100 years old, they're oak, they're super strong, and they were just ideal for there.
you love Dad. It's all right to say you love them, right?
But they were too wide.
They were too wide. So Dad goes, we'll chop them in half. I can do it. I'll chop them in half, and I'll take the steps out, and I'll bring the two sides together and narrow the set of stairs. Now, how long does it take you to make a set of stairs, Dad?
A couple of days, 3 days.
How long did it take you to do them?
A week.
Like, it always takes longer to make someone else's stuff suit your needs, pretty much. And the heater has definitely been one of them, but worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Even though it's been
a while.
Yeah. But really, really happy. And like I said, this is now massively secure. It's not even welded in yet.
It's not even welded in yet.
And it feels super, super secure. And it will lend a little bit more rigidity to this steering mount. What's the word?
Steering shaft.
Steering column.
Yeah.
Mount. So that's good. It might give us ever so slightly better steering feel by something of a percent, but worth it in the end. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please make sure you leave us a mosquito down in the comments, a little mosquito emoji.
And leave us a comment. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, tell us what you think. It's one of those things that, like, it's not a thing that you think of.
No.
Is like your rigidity, your bulkhead, and how everything's going to line up, and how like the air pressing on the windscreen is going to affect everything. But it's one of those things that if we hadn't have done it, we'd have found out very quickly, once we drove it at speed. And this was Dad's idea this week, and actually superb idea.
Yeah, it's worked out well. And like I say, we've made it super, much more rigid, and we've added a tiny bit of weight. The two things we made this week weigh next to nothing now. Yeah.
So a huge thank you for watching. Huge thank you to everyone who's clicked like and everyone who supports us on Patreon. If you're interested in checking out our Patreon, then there's a link in the description. Thank you all for watching. Please be awesome to each other, and we'll see you all in the next video thing. Bye bye.
Bye bye.